Have you ever been part of something right from the very beginning? You know, a club, a startup, a community group. There's this incredible sense of pride that comes with that, and it's totally deserved. But there's a really fine line between that healthy pride and a kind of subtle, creeping entitlement. So today, let's talk about that line, because honestly, understanding it can make or break a growing organization.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This question, it's a tough one. It's that moment of self-reflection where you have to ask, is my long-standing commitment actually masking something else? Something maybe a little more destructive. It's a powerful place to start.
And let's be real, this feeling of ownership, it comes from a legitimate place. You were there in the trenches. You remember when you were scraping by, when the chairs were few and far between. You gave your time, your money, when there was almost nothing to give to. So that sense of pride, it's completely valid.
But here's where that subtle shift happens. That feeling of I was here can quietly, slowly turn into this is ours. And when that happens, you start building this invisible wall between the old guard and the newcomers. There's this unspoken belief that, these new people, they just don't get it. They didn't make the sacrifices we did.
And this brings us right to the core of the problem. What looks and feels like deep, unshakable loyalty can actually be a disguise for something else, something that starts to compete with the unity of the group. Let's break down how that happens.
So look at this. On the left, you've got loyalty. It's a deep pride in the history, a feeling of ownership. But then, look how it can curdle. We've been here from the beginning turns into a belief that seniority makes you superior. Pride in history becomes resistance to any change that brings in new voices. And that feeling of ownership, it morphs into feeling like you're somehow more qualified to second-guess every single decision. The motive is totally changed.
So where does this all lead? Well, this is the end game. Unchecked entitlement, it sets you up, maybe without you even realizing it, as a rival authority. You become this quiet, subtle force pushing back against the leadership, using your history as a reason to resist where things are headed. And that is seriously dangerous for the health of the whole organization.
Okay, so where does this feeling even come from? Well, to get to the bottom of this really modern problem, the source material actually points us to some super old stories. Turns out, this pattern of human nature, this isn't new at all. It's been around for thousands of years.
This comes from the parable of the workers in the vineyard. You can just hear the frustration in their voice, can't you? They're basically saying, hey, we worked all day long in the blistering sun, and these guys who just showed up an hour ago, they get the exact same pay? That's not fair. It's that perfect cry of injustice that's rooted in seniority.
But the landowner's response just flips the whole script. He says, listen, friend, I'm not being unfair to you. I paid you exactly what we agreed on. I'm choosing to be generous to them. And isn't it my right to be generous with what's mine? This really highlights that tension between what we feel we've earned and an owner's right to show grace.
And this right here is the absolute core of it. The spirit of entitlement isn't just about wanting more for yourself. It's about resenting what other people get. It's when you find yourself keeping score, measuring the generosity shown to the new folks against your own long years of service.
And we see this exact same feeling in another story, the one about the prodigal son. This is the older brother talking. He's been the good son, right? He stayed home, he did the work, he was loyal for years. But that loyalty has soured into this deep resentment because his dad threw a huge party for the brother who messed up and came back.
You can almost break it down like a math problem. You start with long, faithful service. You add a little dose of entitlement, that feeling of I'm owed something for this. And what do you get? Almost every time, the result is resentment, especially when you see other people being celebrated.
Okay, so we've dug into the problem, we've looked at its roots. So now for the important part. What do we do about it? How do we fix it? Well, the source gives us a really practical 4-step guide to get our hearts and minds back on track.
And here they are, 4 real, actionable things you can do to consciously shift from a place of entitlement back to genuine, healthy loyalty. Let's break each one of these down. All right, step 1 is all about what's going on inside your head. It's about gratitude. Instead of seeing your long history as some kind of leverage that gives you the right to control things, you reframe it as a privilege. Just be thankful you got to be there from the start. No strings attached. Step 2 is all about tackling that fear that drives entitlement, the fear of becoming irrelevant, right? The key here is to see growth, new people, new ideas, not as a threat to your spot, but as proof that the whole thing is working. It doesn't mean your chapter in the story is over. It just means the book is getting bigger, and you're still a vital part of it. Now, this one is super practical because it's about something we can all control, our words. You know those phrases like us originals or those of us who are here from day one? They might seem harmless, but what they're really doing is creating an exclusive club. They're sending a message to new people that they'll always be outsiders. So dropping that kind of talk is a powerful, conscious act of welcoming people in. And finally, step 4. This one is all about humility and active support. It means making a conscious choice to trust and follow the group's leadership again. Your history, no matter how long, doesn't make you a co-pastor or a co-CEO. It means you choose to listen, to trust the direction, and to back decisions, especially the ones that lift up and empower the very newcomers you might have felt a little wary of before.
So, we've walked through the practical steps. But to make a change like this really stick, it's not just about what you do, it's about what you think. It's about changing the script that runs inside your own head. Let's look at a few powerful ways to rewrite that script.
I love this one. It starts with gratitude, acknowledging the past was a gift, but then it refuses to use that gift as a weapon against the present. It's all about honoring the beginning while fully embracing whatever's coming next.
This one is so sharp and to the point, right? It's a fantastic gut check. It directly calls out that temptation to become a rival authority. It's a quick, powerful reminder that your experience is there to support the leadership, not to undermine it from the peanut gallery.
And this last one, this just nails the entire goal. It reframes your whole history. Every memory, every sacrifice, all those early wins, they should be fuel for deeper loyalty and support, not for a bigger ego or a bigger sense of what you're owed.
So we end right where we started, with a question for you to take with you. As you think about the groups you've been a part of for a long, long time, just ask yourself honestly, is my history a foundation I'm using to build everyone up and support the future? Or has it become a platform I'm standing on to feel important and resist change? The answer to that, well, it changes everything.